Hello, and welcome to Not Boring English. Today's story is called My Little Garden on the Balcony, and it is perfect for learners at the A1 and A2 levels. As you listen, please pause the video to practice the shadowing technique. This means you listen and then repeat after me to improve your pronunciation and fluency. If I speak too fast, you can change the playback speed in the settings to slow down the video. Let's start the story. My Little Garden on the Balcony. My name is Clara. I live in a small apartment in a big city. I like my apartment. It is cozy and comfortable. It has a kitchen, a bedroom, and a living room. It also has a small balcony. For a long time, my balcony was empty. It had nothing on it, just a floor and a railing. It was a boring space. One day in spring, I was looking at my empty balcony. The sun was shining, and the air was warm. I thought, this space needs some life. It needs some color. I wanted to see something green and beautiful when I looked outside. Then I had an idea. I can start a garden, I said to myself. I did not have a big yard, but I had my balcony. I could make a small garden in pots. I have never been a gardener. I did not know anything about plants, but I was excited to learn. I wanted to try to grow something myself. The next day, I went to a garden store. The store was big and full of wonderful things. There were so many different plants and flowers. There were big trees and small bushes. The air smelled fresh and earthy, like soil after rain. First, I needed to buy pots. I walked to the section with all the pots. There were pots of all shapes and sizes. Some were blue, some were white, and some were brown. I chose 3 medium-sized brown pots. They were simple, but I liked them. Next, I needed soil. Soil is the dark dirt where plants live and grow. I found a big, heavy bag of soil. I put it in my shopping cart. Finally, I needed to choose my plants. I could buy small plants that were already growing, or I could buy seeds and grow the plants from the very beginning. I decided I wanted to buy seeds. I wanted to watch the whole process. I wanted to see the plants grow from tiny seeds. I went to the seed section. There were hundreds of small paper packets. Each packet had a beautiful picture on the front. There were pictures of red flowers, yellow flowers, and purple flowers. There were also pictures of vegetables. I saw packets for lettuce, carrots, and peppers. Then I saw a packet with a picture of bright red tomatoes. I love tomatoes. I love to eat them in salads and in sandwiches. I thought, yes, I will grow tomatoes. I took the packet of tomato seeds. I was so excited. I went home with my 3 pots, my big bag of soil, and my small packet of tomato seeds. I carried everything to my balcony. It was time to start my garden. First, I opened the big bag of soil. I took a small shovel and filled the first pot with soil. I filled it almost to the top. Then I did the same thing with the second pot and then the third pot. Now I had 3 pots full of dark, rich soil. Next, I opened the packet of tomato seeds. The seeds were very, very small. They were tiny and yellow. It was amazing to think that a big tomato plant could grow from such a small seed. The instructions on the packet said to make a small hole in the soil. I used my finger to make a little hole in the middle of each pot. The soil felt cool and soft. Then I carefully took 2 small seeds and put them in the hole in the first pot. I put 2 more seeds in the second pot and 2 more in the third. I covered the seeds gently with a little more soil. The last step was to give them water. I filled a small watering can with water, and I watered each pot slowly. I watched the water sink into the dark soil. My work was finished. Now I had to wait. Waiting was the hardest part. The next morning, I woke up and immediately went to the balcony. I looked at the pots. I saw nothing, just brown soil. I watered them a little. I checked again the next day. Still nothing. And the next day, nothing. For 1 whole week, I checked every single morning. I looked very closely at the soil, but I saw nothing new. I only saw the same brown soil. I started to feel a little sad and worried. Did I do something wrong? I thought. Maybe the seeds were bad. Maybe it is too cold on my balcony. I was disappointed, but I did not stop. I continued to water the pots every day. I made sure they had enough sun. I talked to them sometimes. I said, "Please grow, little seeds." Then, one morning, about 10 days after I planted the seeds, I saw something. In one of the pots, there was a tiny, tiny green thing. It was so small. It was a little loop of green, pushing out of the soil. I could not believe my eyes. "It's growing!" I shouted. I was so happy. I felt a huge smile on my face. Later that day, I saw another tiny green sprout in the second pot, and the next day, a sprout appeared in the third pot. All my seeds were growing. After that, the plants grew very fast. Every day, they were a little bigger. The 2 small green leaves got larger. Then, more leaves started to grow. Soon, I had 3 small green tomato plants on my balcony. They looked so healthy and strong. Every morning, I went out to check on them. It was my favorite part of the day. After a few weeks, I saw small yellow flowers on the plants. The flowers were very pretty. The book I read said that after the flowers, the tomatoes would grow. I was so excited, and it was true. After the yellow flowers fell off, I saw tiny green balls. They were very small, like little peas. These were the baby tomatoes. I watched them every day as they got bigger and bigger. They grew from the size of a pea to the size of a small ball. Then they started to change color. Very slowly, the green tomatoes started to turn orange, and then the orange tomatoes started to turn a beautiful, bright red. One Saturday morning, I saw it. There was a perfect, red, round tomato on one of the plants. It was ready. It was time to pick my first tomato. I gently took the tomato from the plant. It felt warm from the sun. It was beautiful. I took the tomato inside to my kitchen. I washed it carefully. Then I cut it into slices. I put a little salt on a slice and I ate it. It was the best tomato I have ever tasted in my entire life. It was so sweet and juicy. It tasted like sunshine. I stood in my kitchen and ate the whole tomato. I felt so proud. I grew this tomato. I did it all by myself on my small, empty balcony. That little balcony was not empty anymore. It was full of life. It was my beautiful little garden. And it brought me so much joy, comprehension, questions. Now, I will ask a few questions about the story to check your comprehension. Try to answer these questions in the comment section below to practice your English writing. 1. What did the narrator decide to grow in her new balcony garden? 2. How did the narrator feel when she did not see any plants growing for the first week? 3. What did the narrator think about the taste of the first tomato she grew herself? Thank you for listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed it. For more practice, I suggest you listen to the story again, this time using the shadowing technique to repeat after me. Do you like to grow plants or have a garden? Tell me about it in the comments, and please subscribe for more stories to help you on your English journey. See you next time.